Howdy fellow humans, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are working on building a lithium battery bank. It is 8S 24 volt, which means 8 cells, and it's 24 volts. And it's a 50 amp hour, which if you did it as a 12 volt setup, it would be the equivalent of 100 amp hours at 12 volts. But let's dive into it right now. This is the 8S 24 volt BMS. Manufacturer complains it's made by Dali for them, but it's on Lazada, so that's probably just a big fat lie. But if you look, you have 8 and one neutral, negative, and so you have 8 cells. That's what that means. 8 cells, and the system's at 24 volts. And one of these will go to the positive of each cell, and then this will go to the negative. So we are just gonna put some of these wire nuts together. Okay, this is a critical part of this because you need your connections to be good and strong and reliable. And in this here, I'm trying to solder this all together with a 40 watt soldering iron, which just doesn't work. I bought an 80 watt afterwards, and it works a lot better. But the thing to soldering is you're trying to heat up this little connector. You're not melting the solder on the soldering iron. You're getting the connector hot enough to melt the solder so the solder sinks in. And the fact that this is not a good soldering iron, it leaves the results a little bit to be desired, but acceptable, but not very good. But there again, I did replace the soldering iron after this project. You see here the blue and the black, those are negatives to the battery, and essentially the negative side flows through the BMS, so low voltage, high voltage, any of those things where it needs to shut off, the BMS disconnects between this black wire and the blue wire. And here we are, the battery bank's just sitting in a box that I can work with and not be too messy. But you see here 8 cells, so positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. You add the 3 point whatever up, it actually equals 24 volts, 28, whatever it is actually. And the right now I believe that is the negative, but the wire terminals that I put on there are too small, so I'm actually having to cut them and to make them notch wire instead of the circle wire that slides, instead of an eyelet circle that goes over. I have to cut those and make a notch because it doesn't quite fit. But it's the best I have here, so we're making that work. So that's what we're doing now. We're cutting a notch in here so we can put them over the posts and tighten this down. And this is the lead going to the negative of the battery bank, negative of the BMS. Your BMS will be numbered with your red wires going to positive. It will tell you in the instructions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you make sure you put those in order because it's going to read the voltage difference between each terminal to balance and manage your battery. So it's important that you do get them in order according to what the instructions tell you on the BMS. I'll fight with these little clips here more off video, but hey, don't forget, like, subscribe, share, any of those things, follow along. Thanks guys. And this, what I'm doing here is hooking everything together outside of the system to basically test, verify everything is correct, where I've got lots of space to work with, not tucked away under the bed in the van. And here's a quick look at the little temporary solar setup that I'm using to test and set up this system. But just kind of actually just walking around the back because I've got everything in the shade on the back and I got to get back to it. And some of the testing I'm doing is actually on this charge controller that you see here. But that's another story for another day, and you guys have to set up your own solar controllers to charge your battery and solar and all that stuff. And instructions on that will vary by manufacturer and model. So we're not going to get into that, but here's the crazy wires of this battery. And I did say this was going under the bed, right? I've got to squeeze it under here, hard as the dust. So here is this lithium iron phosphate battery I built. Compression in with wood, so I don't have that tape that they use, but that's okay. But this is the BMS, and this is a temperature sensor. I've just taped this to the surface. But let's move this back into here. There's a few things coming off of it. We've got the red and the black right there is actually inverter coming off of it. It's just for testing and checking everything out. It's not fused or any of those good safety features. But this right here is your BMS that they're pretending or whatever is supposed to be Dally made or something, but I don't know. But if you look at it, it's really not that hard. You've got your leads going off to each cell and then one to the negative. There's a black one hiding here. Right there goes to the negative. And then you'll count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for your positive leads, and that's all you really have to do, and there's your temperature sensor. That's all you have to do to hook up the BMS on this. And worth noting, this is the negative blue coming out of the battery goes through the BMS, and then your negative leads should attach to this here. That way the BMS, when it works, and the BMS works, it shuts down so you don't over drain or kill the battery. But right now you'll see this is wrong because I've got it running from the battery instead of through the BMS. But so kind of ignore that. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 3 is 24, 26, 28 volts, whatever it is. This is a 24 volt battery, 8 cells. If you did it half and half, then it would be 12. You could have a 12 and a 12 and then hook those together and have a 12 volt system, but I've got this as a 24 volt system. And original setup on this is just as a secondary battery for extra capacity for my Bluetti. That's essentially what this is. And the power will go from solar panels into the charge controller, into here, and then this goes out to charge the Bluetti and give the Bluetti that extra capacity. But this is the battery part of it that we're doing. Okay, so there you have it. That is a 24 volt lithium, LifePO4, whatever, however you say that. But anyways, the system right there is about $130 what it cost me, including shipping and everything. And it wasn't that long ago. So 24 volt 50 amp hour is the same as a 12 volt 100 amp hour. But the 12 volt 100 amp hour at Battleborn was almost $1,000 a few years ago. So it's amazing how much the prices have gone down, how much they've changed. And so there you see, it's fairly simple. There isn't much to it. So get out there and build one. Or hey, if you don't like that, you can buy them so cheap nowadays. It's crazy. See you down the road, guys. Bye.